Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I bid to my first supervisor, Madam Komati, and my second supervisor, Madam Yashrunora. I am Sitnur Sajida from PSNP TSLF June 2017. I'll be presenting on the presentation of my research findings. First of all, the title for my research is The Use of Issue Rate in Improving Year 5 Pupils' Vocabulary Acquisition. Alright, so first of all is the statement of the problem. Right, so during my first practicum, I discovered that most of my pupils they were unable to understand the meaning of the words that they were reading, even though they were able to read. For example, whenever I gave them reading materials or reading text for them to read, they can actually read the text, even though their pronunciation were not 100% correct. But they couldn't understand the meaning of the words or the meaning of the reading text. Therefore, I believe that the main problem faced by my pupils was the lack of vocabulary. Alright, so I believe that because this is because I believe that vocabulary is very important element in reading because vocabulary conveys more meanings compared to grammar and pronunciation. In fact, vocabulary is seen as the crucial tool for mastering any language skills whereby it contributes to the understanding of written and spoken text. Okay, this is why I believe that one of the effective ways to help in improving the poor vocabulary acquisition among the pupils is through issue rate. So basically each rate is just like the ordinary charade whereby the rules and the steps are the same. So however, as the lesson were conducted online through Google Meet in this COVID-19 pandemic, charade was improvised by integrating pictures and GIFs in introducing the vocabulary to the pupils. Alright, so moving on to my research objective and research question. Alright, so my research objective is to determine if issue rate helps in improving your five pupils vocabulary acquisition. And my research question is, does issue rate help in improving your five pupils vocabulary acquisition? So moving on to the review of literature. Okay, these are some of the examples of the literature review that I included in my research. Right, first of all, according to Beck, Perfetti and McKeown 2016, if learners have limited vocabulary knowledge and unable to assess the meaning of words efficiently, it will be detrimental to their reading. Here, Beck, Perfetti and McKeown they emphasize on the importance of having enough vocabulary for reading and what is the effect if the learners have limited or if the learners are lack of vocabulary, what will happen to their reading skills. Next one, Thornbury 2010 also emphasized on the importance of utilizing charade in the classroom, which it can assist teacher to teach vocabulary as well as enhance students' motivation to learn and understand the meaning of the vocabulary learned. Next one, Cardusen and Schiffer 2017 so stated that charade is an excellent game to facilitate the emotional education of the children as it can improve emotional well-being of children experiencing emotional difficulties or as remediation for children who appear to be lagging in emotional development. Okay, this is actually related to the Krashen effective model, which emphasize on the charade can help to reduce or to lower down the effective filter among the pupils during the learning process. Next one, as I improvise charade to e-charade, it means that I'm integrating ICT element in my intervention. Thus, according to Noradin Azmi 2017, she stated that the utilization of ICT in the English classroom can boost the learning environment, which can lead to the enhancement of the pupils' language acquisition. So moving on to the methodology. Okay, first of all, I administered tests which include pre-post tests um, in my research to actually test the pupils' performance throughout the lesson. I included MCQ question and also limited response question in my test, and the marks recorded from the pre-test, post-test 1 and post-test 2 were tabulated to see the differences between the grade obtained, and the mean score were also calculated and tabulated. Next, I also carried out observation. The data collected by using checklists, and then the data were analyzed qualitatively through thematic analysis. So firstly, I will went through the data obtained from the observational checklist and categorize them according to their own category based on the keywords. And then I broke down the data according to the code system. This way, this was to actually help me identify relevant patterns in the data. The coded segment were grouped and then synthesized into more general categories, and then only uh, then I link all these categories to more general themes. This method enabled me to develop a deeper appreciation for the group or situation that I was researching, and then the names of each team were finalized. And then after I carry out observation, I also carry out journal entries whereby I wrote journal entries twice during post test 1 and also post test 2. In my journal entries, I focus on the pupils' participations, pupils' behavior, as well as the pupils' feedback throughout the two lessons. And same as observation, the data were analyzed through thematic analysis as well. Alright, so next is the findings part. Okay, here I want to answer my research question, which is, does issue rate help in improving your pupils' vocabulary acquisition? Alright, as there are two tables being displayed here. Okay, the first table shows the results of the DEFA pupils of their pre-test, post-test 1 and post-test 2, and table 2 shows the grade obtained by each pupil for pre-test, post-test 1 and post-test 2. Alright, so as can be seen from table 2, pupil A, who was an intermediate achiever, scored 40%, which is grade D, and then 80%, which is grade A, and then 100%, which is grade A in pre-test, post-test 1, and post-test 2, respectively. Alright, so the pupils' A score increased from pre-test until post-test 2, suggesting that pupils' A performance had improved. Next one, on the other hand, pupil C, who a low achiever pupil, was not able to achieve grade A, but he still managed to show a lot of improvement from pre-test until post-test 2. He scored 20, which is grade grade E in pre-test, and then he scored 52%, which is grade C in post-test 1, and then he scored 72%, which is grade B in post-test 2. The increase of the pupils' score also depicts the efficacy of the intervention during cycle 1 and also cycle 2. And the same goes to pupil B as well as pupil D. Both of them also showed improvement in their test result. The figure shown here is the summary of the pupils' result in pre-test, post-test 1 and post-test 2. So from here we can see that pupil A, pupil B, pupil C and pupil D did show a very great improvement in their results. Based on the tables and the figure shown, it is proven that the means of the three tests taken by pupils showed some improvement from the from the mean 41% during pre-test to 73% to during post-test 1 and 90% during post-test 2. And the result of the data analyzed above is also similar to the findings and discussion done by Fauzi Bafadal, Humaira Ali and Nurmasita Jafri 2018, whereby their findings showed that the marks achieved by the students in post-test was higher than the pre-test. Then the result of the study also found that the students showed improvement in their spelling, pronunciation, and the understanding of the words after charade was implemented as the intervention in their research. Alright, so the next one is observation carried out. Right, so basically this is the result of that I obtained from the checklist that I have used to observe my pupils. Alright, so after I have analyzed all the data here, and then I categorize them to two teams, okay, which are fun in learning and learning comprehension. Alright, looking at the first team, which is fun in learning. Alright, so during cycle 1, three, as you can see here, 3 out of 4 pupils enjoyed the lessons that was carried out using issue rate with the integration of picture here. And then during cycle 2, as you can see here, the frequency of people who enjoyed the lesson increased to 4 when I integrated GIFs. So their enjoyment could be seen through their facial expression and excitement during the implementation of issue rate. And this is the result is also similar to Fauzi Bafadal, Humar Ali, and Nur Siti Jeffrey 2018, whereby they stated that charade actually contributed to a fun and engaging classroom. They concluded that the use of charade did create excitement in the learning, which helped in improving the pupils' vocabulary acquisition. Alright, so the next theme is learning comprehension. Okay, so the learning comprehension can be seen when the pupils' understanding of the vocabulary increased because they were able to give correct answer during the implementation of intervention. The frequency of pupils who were able to comprehend the reading text also increased as 3 out of 4 pupils got all correct in their comprehension question during cycle 2. And also, lastly, the pupils maintain the ability to recall all the vocabulary they had learned at the end of the lesson. It shows that they actually, they actually able to understand the vocabulary and also the text that they were reading. So this also can be supported by my journal entry, whereby in this cycle 2, 3 out of 4 pupils were able to get all correct for all questions compared to the cycle 1, whereby only 2 pupils were able to get all correct answer. The major improvement can be seen in pupil D, as she did not get all correct for the previous post-test 1. Pupil C also showed improvement in the increasing number of correct answer, even though he did not manage to get all correct for the answer. This shows that they actually understood vocabulary, then as well as the reading text. Alright, so next one is the journal entry. Alright, so the theme emerged from my journal entry is enjoyment. The pupils' enthusiasm could be seen throughout the lesson during both cycles. And the pupils also displayed good engagement and participation during the implementation of the intervention. This can be seen and supported by Majino and T, whereby the pupils, they were super excited to play issue. When I displayed some pictures on the screen, they participated very active in guessing the meaning behind the pictures shown together with the action done by their friends. And during my cycle 2 also, when I displayed the GIF, they participated very active in guessing the meaning of the GIF shown. And major difference could be seen in pupil D because he showed less excitement during the previous lesson, but his response improved in today's lesson. He became more thrilled to engage in the activity. Thus, I believe that the pupils' excitement during the lesson came from the pictures and GIF integrated or displayed on the screen as they were colorful and integrated with cartoon characters. This is because the use of pictures, GIFs, made it easier for them to guess the vocabulary instead of just focusing on the action done by the friend. So moving on to the implication of my research, first of all, I learned that by becoming a teacher, it is essential to acquire theoretical and practical knowledge to personalize teaching and learning materials that suit the needs of the learners. According to Bradley, theoretical knowledge helps a teacher understand why some technique works and fail, while practical knowledge helps a teacher to acquire the specific technique of a concept through the act of doing and personal experience. This means that both knowledge are compatible with each other to attain an effective teaching and learning experience. Thus, after I had discovered the main problem faced by my pupils, I started to analyze the reason that led to the problem. Knowing that most of my people were kinesthetic learners who come from different levels of proficiency, I instantly decided to apply two theories as the basis of my research, and which are correction effective filter theory and Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences theory. Next implication is I also realized that as a teacher I need to avoid generalizing pupils' performance or outcome. For example, if the overall result showed great improvement in the pupils' achievement, there are still a few numbers of pupils who need further guidance in order to attain achievement that are similar with their peers. Thus, teachers should not generalize the result obtained after a certain lesson was carried out, as the pupils came from different background and different level of proficiency. Those who are discovered to be left behind or often neglected, it would cause the pupils to be stagnant in their learning as they were not aware of their weaknesses and ways to improve themselves if no proper assistance are provided to them. Thus, it is very important for the teachers to to not generalize their pupils' performance and try to discover any suitable method to help the pupils improve their learning. Okay, next one is the conclusion. Okay, basically this research has helped me to understand in depth the factor that cause the deaf pupils to have difficulty in reading. In order to overcome the issue, I came up with an intervention which is the each rate to help the pupils improve their vocabulary acquisition. And all the insight I gained throughout the process of conducting my research had taught me to be more conscious of my own teaching practices. And next is the recommendation. The first recommendation is I would recommend to utilize issue in other learning skills such as grammar. For example, a teacher can integrate or can use issue rate to introduce or teach action, verb, and common noun to the pupils. Next recommendation is to integrate a different type of graphic, which is video, in each rate to help improving the pupils' performances. This is very important, or because the incorporation of sounds in the video also can become one of the reasons that makes it an effective tool to be utilized in a lesson. According to Costurello Glue 2016, the use of videos in learning environment is beneficial for students as it can make learning independent from time and space, providing group learning opportunities, facilitating learning in the management of movement, color, and sound that contribute to the increase in student interest and motivation to their learning. So basically the result for me. Thank you.